lesson here, kids, never live stream and drive. Cabin Girls, a Tubi original directed by John D. Wagner, who's produced various horror movies. Check out his IMDb page for the full listing of his work. This was written and produced by Leslie Beaumont. No relation to Hugh Beaumont. Google that, kids. That's really skewering old. So this centers around a social media influencer named Ava. Ava Vita Zane. That's a really old school video game, PC game reference. So, Ava is played by Rosalyn Sanfilippo. I really hope I pronounced that right. If not, I do apologize. And she is bright and cheery and has a great social media following. And she decided to take this social media following on the road with her because her parents died. She decided to go in a van, not down by the river. She could have possibly parked down by a river at some point, but she's going everywhere, man. She's going everywhere, man. Going in this big van. Actually, it's not a big van, but she's living inside this van. But then there is a wreck, man, and now her van is destroyed. Okay, I don't really have much more to say about that, but the whole point is her van gets wrecked. She suffers a traumatic brain injury. Holy shit. Now she's in the small town that could be in Washington State. It could be in Maine. It could be in the Northeast. It could be in the upper Midwest. It could be in Canada. It could possibly be on another plane of existence. They don't really specify. But she's in the small town where seemingly everybody knows her name. And they're always glad she came. But she wants to be where the people are, even though it's very strange that all these people seemingly know her name. Okay, I'm done. I actually visited the Cheers bar years and years ago. Great place, really, really cramped. Really cramped, but a great place. Anyway, so yeah, from there we just have Ava trying to figure out, delve into her memories and deal with this traumatic brain injury that she suffered and the fact that she can't drive. The doctor said, no, you can't drive. You can't do this shit. She's living in a cabin that she sunk her life savings into somehow. And it turns out this cabin actually was once housing somebody who passed away tragically. Holy goddamn shit. I can't believe it. What a coinky-dink. And also there's this individual that seemingly is kind of, around her, like maybe he's a super fan of her channel, but there's some mysterious stranger that is around her and seemingly knows all of her moves. There's also a love interest, a guy named Kellen, played by Austin Scott, who was the fixer-upper, the tow truck guy, mechanic that found her right after her accident happened. And then from there, we have a movie that is basically ghost-like slash psychological thriller with a little stalker element stuff and weird memory issues and all this stuff about this accident and the fact she can't drive and she has these pains in her head and all this weird stuff and she can't seemingly remember certain things. It seems like her memories are trying to push forward and her brain's trying to tell her something that she's suppressing. I wonder what it could be. And eventually we find out what it is. And I'm going to get into spoilers here in a bit, but if you can't figure it out within the first 10 minutes of this movie, yeah, I mean, it's pretty obvious. It's not a bad movie, I want to say that right now. It is not the most wholly original movie. It's kind of like a Twilight Zone episode, just updated. The acting isn't all that bad. I think Rosalyn does fine. I think she does fine. By the way, Jess Weixler was in this. If that name doesn't sound familiar, remember the movie Teeth? Yes, the woman that was in Teeth. That actually, she had teeth in that particular place. She plays Trina. Jess is 42 and looks like 22, so good on her. So, nevertheless, it basically centers around Ava being haunted by this ghost, stalked by this one guy, and all this weird stuff is just happening to her. Conveniently, it's all targeting her, almost like something is trying to, basically bash her in the head and say, hey, have you figured it out? Have you goddamn figured it out? This accident, all this shit going on, this tragic set of circumstances with you living in this cabin that this dead girl once lived in. So yeah, from there it's just your basic psychological thriller that isn't bad. It's not wholly original. It's not great. The acting is decent. The shots are okay. Actually, the cinematography is decent. But it just ends up unraveling because you can figure out exactly where it's going from the very beginning. You really goddamn can. And unfortunately, it just ends up... it ends up doing enough to have enough positivity, where it's above a lot of Tubi originals, but it's still not great. It's still not great. And the explanation by the end, we're like, yeah, I assumed that much. We really took that long to get to it. And the movie's only 90 minutes, as it were. That being said, performances are decent. Story's fine until it just unravels, and then it just gets ridiculous. But whatever. It's expected. It's fine. It's certainly not that bad. I'm going to get into spoilers, by the way. 3, 2, 1, spoilers. Okay, so it turns out that the guy that's stalking her is actually the father of a girl that was a super fan of Ava's channel. She was waiting for her tow truck. Ava was driving along, live streaming, and then ended up hitting this girl, and then put it in her head after seeing a deer that, oh, it's just a deer that I hit. It's not a girl, and the girl wanders off, or crawls off, and then dies in a field. So Ava didn't do anything. Mind you, if she had done this, she might not have even gotten, well, she might have gotten charged with something, but she thought she could get away with it. Well, then the van, the whole van thing, the reason the van's all wrecked is because she didn't hit a deer, she hit a person. Kellen is a mechanic trying to help her. He ends up at one point fixing the van that's in the garage, and he finds some hair underneath. Gee, not hair from a deer. And this subplot about this Hannah Granger who may have jumped to her death. Well, her ghost is haunting her. No, it has nothing to do with that. It's not her ghost at all. It's the ghost of the girl that she killed. She didn't mean to kill her, but she still killed her and still tried to cover the whole thing up and just forget that it happened. And that's why the guy's been following her. And then she goes insane at one point, hacking up, hitting the sheriff with an axe, yet he's somehow okay. Okay enough to unlock the stalker guy from his handcuffs after he gets out of the car. Kellen, who's trying to help Ava, gets his fingers chopped off, which in a hilarious fashion. The movie at points ramps up a couple things and then just decides to pull back. It throws a bunch of shit in at the end where just Ava goes absolutely insane. And it turns out that the doctor has been trying to help Ava because he feels that Ava isn't exactly recovering properly, not compartmentalizing this stuff, and the brain injury and the psychosis is really getting to her. And oh wait, it turns out that she's been living in this memory this whole goddamn time, and they're going to keep her. They're going to keep her as she's been living in this psychosis and she can't get out of it, even though her brain healed, and now she's institutionalized. So what really happened? What didn't really happen? Who knows? Who knows really? People may have not actually died. She might have just imagined that, and she might have just talked to Trina, Jess's character, and Jess did some card stuff and everything, but then she freaked out because no, it's actually the ghost that's haunting me. It's not me that actually did something horrible. And all the while, her social media channel is growing and all this, and the movie just didn't know what it wanted to be. And unfortunately, it just ended up being messy, and I think that it was fine. And I know why they picked the ghost focus, because they wanted to keep, they wanted to deviate away from the obvious. It just felt messy. It's not bad. Leslie Beaumont did fine with enough of this stuff, and I look forward to seeing what else she can write. But I just felt a little more direction. A clear direction might have been better. Nevertheless, it wasn't bad. Certainly a decent Tubi original. Gets a B-. It's fine for what it is. Check it out. Let me know your thoughts. Anyway, like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Rentlin. I'll see you soon.